Deck Building. I am your host, Demo, and we got some new Kamigawa Neon Dynasty cards to talk about here. I always like to cover the actual commanders because I think that's what's most impactful on the set. So let's dive into that. We got some really crazy ones here, and it's already been a ridiculous spoiler season. It's been, first of all, it's been like a month and a half since they first spoiled the first cards from the set. Also, there's been a ridiculous amount of leaks. They all seem to be like these blurry, horrible photos that look like they were taken with a camera from 1982. I'm not sure what the explanation is there. It seems a little suspicious. I think Mitch over at the Commander's Quarters has covered like half the set already before official spoilers even begin. But we got some really interesting ones to talk about here, so let's get into it. And I have to start out with Jin-Gitaxias, Progress Tyrant, which I'm sure is already getting a whole bunch of buzz. There was a lot of people guessing that there would be a Praetor in this set and that it would be Jin-Gitaxias. I'm not sure where they were getting that information from, but I guess they were right. So this is a big one. 5 blue, costs 7 mana. No big surprise there that it would cost a lot. It's a Phyrexian Praetor, of course, and it's a 5/5. Whenever you cast an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Oh boy. This ability triggers only once each turn. Well, thank goodness for that. However, whenever an opponent casts an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, counter that spell. This ability triggers only once each turn. I had sort of thankfully saw a little bit of a leak for this last night, and so I was prepared for this one. And I don't know what I was talking with my patrons on Discord about this, and I thought, I don't want to get any hysteria going here, but I could see this getting banned, right? The only reason why is because the people calling for it to get banned, right? And I talk about Arayo in my banned video about how I could probably see that getting unbanned. I would be okay with it getting unbanned because I think that it's really hard to flip. And I know people say it's only 2 mana and you could Mox Diamond, Mox Amber, blah, 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 and flip it right away. Okay, but now you're playing a CEDH deck, right? Arayo, for me, could get unbanned and be played in CEDH, no problem. I would be okay with that. Nobody would do that in a casual game. This is why I always talk about separating the formats. I don't want to go off on a tangent here. Jin-Gitaxias, for me, is only going to get played in casual games. And in a casual game, I don't know. I see this being problematic. I'm not saying it should be banned. Okay, just relax. I'm not saying it should be banned. But, whenever an opponent casts their first artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, each turn you counter it. That seems really unfun, and I think everyone would agree with that. There's going to be some people that are excited about this card. There's like the same people that get excited about Turgid, I think will get excited about this card. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, I can still cast creatures. I can still cast planeswalkers. I can still cast enchantments. However, the stuff that's going to get Jin-Gitaxias off the table is likely going to be an instant or sorcery. Unless you got a Ravenous Chupacabra or something, likely what's going to get it off the table is an instant or sorcery. So that's going to make things really difficult. And it just is going to be... It's going to be groans all around. It's going to be one of those cards where you're going to... I guarantee it, right? I'm not saying it's going to be banned, but I guarantee what is going to happen is it's going to be one of those commanders that when you sit down at a table and you're playing this deck, just like the original Jin-Gitaxias, it's just going to be groans all around the table, and everyone's going to be like, oh, I don't really want, right? You're going to have to rule 0 and be like, is everyone okay if I play my Jin-Gitaxias deck, right? That's for sure. You are for sure going to have to rule 0 with this guy, I think, a lot. Gaddock Teague, maybe is Gaddock Teague a I'm trying to think of a good example. I mean, Arayo is the best example, but Gaddock Teague is also... how many people... And again, Gaddock Teague's not banned. That's a legal commander card. Anyone can go there and play a Gaddock Teague deck, but how many people are going to love playing against it, right? So you're just going to come into that situation, I think, with this. And that's not, and we're not even touching on the part that your artifacts, instants, and sorceries are copied as well. only triggers once each turn. So that means on my turn, I cast a mana rock. It gets copied. I get 2 of them. And then on my opponent's turn, I can cast an instant, like a removal spell, rapid hybridization, destroy 2 creatures. Whew, that's really good. That's busted for sure, I think. In a commander game, that's wow. And the fact that it's mono blue also adds on to this sort of issue because you have counter magic, right? So even if your opponent gets through that shield, the first shield, the counter the first spell, right? Say your opponent has been waiting and waiting and waiting, and now they have the path and the swords in their hand, and now they can finally get your commander off the table. You're holding up a counter spell, right? And everyone's going to, right? It's going to be a commander that everyone's going to want to get off the table, so you're going to be holding up that counter magic. And here comes the path, counters, and then they're like, yeah, I finally got him, and they cast the swords, and then you counter it with an actual counter spell, and they probably just take their cards and go home, right? I can see that happening a lot, and I know people might get upset for me. I'm not calling for this to get banned. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me if it did, because of that very unfun factor there. Just like with Turgid, man, nobody was calling for Turgid to get banned when it first got spoiled. Feels very similar in with regards to what it's doing, even though those cards are very different. So only time will tell. All right, but let's move on. We got a few more to talk about here, and we got Ao. I'm sure I'm going to pronounce a ton of these wrong. The Dawn Sky. I think Ao is right, isn't it? 3 white, dragon, spirit, 5/4. So it looks like we got another dragon cycle, mono dragon cycle of when they die. So, for those who don't remember, the original Kamigawa had a dragon cycle. Ryusu, Kokushu, Kaiga. I wonder if I can get them all. Jugen. What am I missing? Yosei, right? That triggered when they die, which isn't super great for a commander because you don't want your commander to be dying all the time, but we'll see. So it's Flying Vigilance, 5/4. When Ao the Dawn Sky dies, choose 1. So this whole cycle you get 2 choices, which is great. I already covered the red one, which they spoiled way back before Christmas. So look at the top 7 cards of your library, put any number of non-land permanent cards with total mana value 4 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. Okay, that's really good. Put any number of non-land permanent cards with total. Wow, that is pretty good. Yeah, 7 cards is a fair amount, and obviously if you build your deck around this, you want to keep that low to the ground mana value, so that just like when you build a Niv Mizzet deck, right? The 5-color Niv Mizzet, you're gonna put all the 2-color, right? You make it so that you're gonna hit as many cards as you can when you do this. You'll do the same thing here, right? You can't get lands, which, that makes sense. That's sort of a green ability, right? You don't want to give that to white, I don't think. But I think you could easily hit like 4 or 5 things off of the 7 cards. That's really good. Great card advantage for white there, right? But has another ability. Put 2+1/+1 counters on each permanent you control that's a creature or a vehicle. Wow. So white's done a lot of vehicle stuff already. In fact, I think originally it was mostly white and red that was doing the vehicle thing. So that is not completely out of the ordinary. It's a little weird that a dragon's doing it, right? Isn't it? Maybe? Man, I just don't think you're going to use that second one at all. The first one's super good. Again, though, your commander's dying, right? So it's really important that you make it worth it. I said the same thing about the red version of this. I can't remember the name of it, but it's really important if you're going to have your commander dying all the time, if you're going to be sacking it to a high market or something, it's really important that you get some value out of the fact that you're going to have to send your commander likely back to the command zone, right? Again, mono white, mono red, not a lot. I mean, white does have a little bit of recursion, so that's a saving grace here. Mono red really doesn't have any. I think you want that first ability. That look at the top 7 cards. Like if you build around that, man, you can get tons of value off of it. I like it a lot. All right, and we are moving on to the blue dragon now. So we have had red, white, and blue so far. Kyrie, the swirling sky, works for me. 4 blue dragon spirit, of course. 6/6 flying ward 3. So I really like the ward 3. I always love any sort of making it hard for your opponents to kill your commander is always good. And as a lot of people have noted, I think they've really been going heavy towards the ward and away from hexproof, which I think everyone agrees is a good thing. Hexproof is just too good. And they really just went nuts putting hexproof on damn near everything, and they went overboard. It just like with indestructible, right? Hexproof and indestructible are really powerful abilities that they should be wary of using and only put it on very specific creatures. Ward 3, I think, is a lot better here. It gives your opponents an option, right? So yes, they can still target your stuff, but it's going to take a lot more mana. They're going to make it a little more difficult, right? So again, when it dies, choose 1. Return any number of target non-land permanents with total mana value 6 or less to their owner's hands. Okay, so it's going to die, and you're going to return any number of target non-land permanents with total mana value 6 or less. Okay. That's not bad. That's not bad. So you can bounce some mana rocks, maybe a couple creatures. Yeah, that's okay. And the second one, mill 6 cards, then return up to 2 instant and or sorcery cards from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, so that's probably the one you're going to want to build around there. The first one's good. Like it's definitely nice to have that option where, if you're in a pickle and your opponent has maybe a troublesome enchantment in play because blue can't deal with enchantments very well. It's nice to have that option on your commander. But you're not going to build around that, I don't think. You're not going to build around the bouncing. You're going to build around the milling. Being able to... pedantic learning. Pedantic learning, yes. I always love finding decks for that card. Pedantic learning would be great in this because you're going to be milling yourself, right? And then obviously you're returning 2 instant or sorcery cards from your graveyard to your hand, so you're going to be heavy on the instant and sorcery theme here. Yeah, I think you're definitely going to lean on the second ability here. And then the first ability is just a nice little added bonus. Same with the white one, where I think the white one, the first ability is what you're going to actually build around, and then the second ability is just a nice little added bonus that you can use maybe later in the game or something. Next up, we got Kaiodai, Soul of Kamigawa. Okay, so if it's the Soul of Kamigawa, that probably says that it's going to be doing a bunch of stuff. 3 and a white, Dragon Spirit, 3/3. Flash and flying. I also really like having flash on my commander. When Kaiodai, Soul of Kamigawa, enters the battlefield, another target permanent gains indestructible for as long as you control Kaiodai. Okay, that's not bad. And then, of course, we got the Wooburg there. Kaiodai gets +5/+5 until end of turn. So this is another Kenrith the Return Kate. Like, I thought they weren't going to do this anymore. I thought that maybe I was watching the Command Zone and they were talking about how they didn't want to see this anymore. The mono white commander, that's actually a 5-color commander, or colorless commander, that's actually a 5-color commander. Again, it's problematic. And this isn't super powerful. It's not. Let me think about this for a second. This ain't bad. Okay, you're going to make a permanent indestructible. The 5 mana, give your commander +5/+5 until end of turn it's actually not bad. I mean, you could make a half decent Voltron deck here, although your commander can't make itself indestructible. I mean, if you pay Wooburg, it's an 8/8. So that's pretty good. That's 3 hits and you're dead. I think, though, like, I don't love it. It is another one of those commanders that enables, the 5-color sort of good stuff scenario. There's already enough commanders like that, though, I think, that are better than this. So it really isn't going to affect it that much. I kind of don't mind it, though. What is good about it, the mono white commander that is actually a 5-color commander. I like the way they did it here, where you have an ability that's not. Neither of these abilities are completely, overwhelming. They're just okay. White is protecting stuff. That's what white does really well. And what this does is it enables janky strategies, which is what I like about it. So, for example, you want to make a door to nothingness deck, right? This would be a great commander for that because you can play it. It comes into play tapped, and then you can use your commander to protect it until you can get it off. Something like that, right? Or maybe if you want to make a shrine deck, and you have Sanctum of All or whatever it's called, which always gets destroyed right away as soon as it comes out. This is a great way to protect it. right? So you cast your commander, make it indestructible so it doesn't get removed so easily, so you can actually start getting the ball rolling with it. So it would be a great commander for stuff like that. You know, I'm on the fence here where I sort of don't love it because, again, it sort of enables a lot of those 5-color good stuff decks. But at the same time, I like it because it allows, again, sort of those janky fringe strategies that people want to do. A lot of times you do need a 5-color deck for that, and I think this is a good commander for that. That's going to work in that strategy. So I think in 5 minutes I've been talking about it, I've come around. I think I'm okay with it. And lastly today I'm going to talk about Bakuju, who endures. And I know I said I usually only talk about commanders, but I thought it's very relevant here to talk about this because this is pretty sure a land cycle that is coming out in this set. And it is big. It is going to be incredibly impactful. I'm going on the record of saying that now, okay? Legendary lands, and again, the original Kamigawa had a legendary land cycle. Had a lot of legendary lands, actually. They had the legendary land cycle with Iganju and Shizo and all those. And then Bakuju was a colorless legendary land, right? Bakuju, who shelters all. And then they had a bunch more legendary colorless lands. They had a lot of legendary lands in this set, so it's no big surprise they're going to have them here. And this is really big. So first of all, it enters the battlefield untapped, so no drawbacks, and it taps for green. So right away, it can go in any green deck, right? There is no drawback here. The drawback is it's legendary. That might matter. And it's non-basic. That might matter. Maybe, maybe not. More importantly, though, it has channel. And putting channel, I actually really like the channel ability, again, from the original Kamigawa. I like that ability. It's very similar, just like with Grandeur. I really like Grandeur a lot, which doesn't work in Commander very well. But it's nice when you have a card in your hand. I guess it's similar to cycling, where I have a card in my hand. It's not very useful to me right now, so I can cycle it away and get something better. Channel is even better, where I have something in my hand that I can basically cycle away. I can discard and get an effect out of it. Now, the original channel abilities from the original Kamigawa weren't great. It didn't get used a lot because the channel abilities were super expensive and the effect was just not great. Obviously, they sort of powered it, I shouldn't say powered it down. They brought down the cost so that it was a lot more usable. And the fact that it's on a land makes it so that you don't have to use up a deck slot, right? These are... I'm just going to predict right now these cards are going to be really expensive. Everybody's going to want them in all of their decks. I mean, let's look at this ability. Channel, pay 1 and a green. Discard Bakuju, who endures. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Or non-basic land an opponent controls. That player may search their library for a land card with basic land type. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. Oh man, was that necessary? It's already an auto-include in every deck. I'm going to try to find a reason not to put this in your deck, okay? It's a green land that enters the battlefield untapped, that taps for green. Okay, we're all good here. And you can discard it from your hand and destroy an artifact, enchantment, or non-basic land an opponent controls. They can search your library for a land card. Who cares? That's nothing. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature. Why did they even have to put that on there? This card already goes in every green deck. These are going to be huge. They're going to be... Creating more hysteria or buzz over cards like this is not going to do anyone any good, but I can't hold it back. I see no reason why you wouldn't put this in all your green decks. You know, people said that about Yavimaya, Cradle of Growth, and I was like, yeah, you could put it in all your green decks, but there's not. Where's the upside? The upside is I mana fix in green when I'm already playing green. So the upside there is not so big. You know, it's like, it's okay. You can put it on all your green decks, but you're not getting much of an advantage out of it. I imagine most games you play when you have a Yavimaya in play, you don't even notice it's there. This truly, like, I see no reason why this doesn't go in every green commander deck. Even if it was just artifact or enchantment, it goes in every green commander deck. Well, the fact that they put non-basic land on there as well, holy man. This card's going to be expensive. I think they made it too good. I mean, too good in... Not too good like it's busted, even though it's pretty good. Too good in... It's going to be like an $80 card or something, because everybody's going to want to put it in their deck, I think. Yeah, and then, of course, we're going to have a whole cycle of these, so Yeah, whenever you just got to be careful with these lands because lands so easily slot into commander decks, right? And I have a feeling that we're going to see this with all of this land cycle. This one in particular, I don't know what the other ones are going to be like, but this one, I mean, I keep thinking I'm reading this wrong. Imagine you had a spell that cost 1 and a green that destroyed an artifact, enchantment, or non-basic land. Wouldn't you just start putting that in all your green decks? This is a land that you can just play. Holy man. And I have a patron with a Mina and Den deck, and he's going to lose his mind over this card because he can play it early in the game and then pick it up later in the game with his Mina and Den and discard it to destroy something. I'll go on the record now saying that this card, I haven't even seen the other ones yet. This might be the most expensive card from the entire set. Maybe. Because I would imagine it's also going to get played in other formats, right? Maybe? I think it probably will, right? I mean, if I was still playing Modern, I would probably find ways to put this in my deck. Good news, bad news situation, I guess. Anyway, that's it for now. Obviously, we're going to have a ton of spoilers coming out, and I'm going to try to cover as many as I can. First reactions, just let's see what we got here. What can we do with it? Did we go too far in certain situations? Sometimes they do. You never know. It all sort of works out in the end. I think typically, you know, we've gotten to a place now in the format where when you see a card like Jin-Gitaxias, maybe it doesn't need to get banned because I think people will just avoid playing it, right? Just like with Turgid or any commander like that. It just, people realize that nobody else is having fun, so nobody really wants to play against it. So they're just like, okay, well, I'm not going to bother then. Maybe it'll turn into that situation. I don't know. Nevertheless, that is it for now. See you guys next time, and thanks for tuning in.